Okay, all right.
Hi, welcome to Needles and Knots Sew Lunchables. I'm your sewing Sherpa Shauna, and today is June 20th, which I think is a federal holiday. We're celebrating June 19th, Emancipation Proclamation. And anyhow, for today, we are going to be doing using the bias binding foot. Finally, this is one we scheduled a couple of weeks ago, and I finally got mine in. It came in with this kit here. Well, I ordered it with this kit. And this kit has got all of these different folders in it that you can send your bias tape through to fold up. So this one, like it says over here, says, oh, where's my glasses? I have no idea what it says. It says 12 millimeter, which means that your bias tape that it's going to fold should be 12 millimeters wide in order for this particular folder to work. I believe our bias tape is like 30 millimeters. So the largest one they have here is a 25 millimeter. But anyhow, I haven't tried these out yet. And today is not about using these, but I figured I'd get the whole kit and just see how this thing works, because what I think you're supposed to do is send these through, and then when it comes out the other end, you kind of clip the fold and then you press it and you create your own folded bias tape. So let's just kind of go back to what is bias tape. So right here, this is factory made bias tape. The grain of the fabric is running in one direction. The crossed grain it's like an X. So what we've got is a kind of a stretchy fabric because it's cut on the bias. And this stretch makes it so that it easily wraps around curved edges. It's just easier to handle than if it were on the straight grain. So I have here in my monkey box a lot of bias tape. Here is what they call a single fold bias tape. That means that it just has the edges folded in. And I believe that that kit that I have creates single fold bias tape like this. So it will have a long flat edge and then two folds, which makes you think double fold, but it's not. It's single fold, which means each edge is folded over once. Single fold bias tape. You can also buy bias tape in double fold. So here is a sample of it in double fold. So if we're flat like this, it would be single fold, right? But it's got an extra fold creased into it, which makes it double fold. It folded up right there. So this is ready to go around the edge of a piece of fabric. This one will require an extra fold to it. People use bias tape for other things than just finishing the edges of the fabric, but that's how we're going to use it today. So I'm going to start without using the foot. So this is our plain presser foot. It's just the all-purpose zigzag foot. I'll take this double fold and I'm going to wrap it around the edge. Now, what's interesting is if you notice, I'm going to actually, it's starting with the seam, so I'm going to get rid of that. When I fold it, look at this. It's slightly off center. You can see that the one side is just like a 1/16 of an inch wider than the other one. And that indicates that this side should be the top, because I'm more likely to catch that bottom side that I can't see when I'm sewing if I have the narrower one on the top. So I'm going to wrap this here around the edge of a piece of a fabric with the shorter side on the top. And I'm going to, oh my gosh, not sew it because somebody forgot to thread the sewing machine. Don't you hate it when you sew without thread? It like is the worst. It's like pick up and everything's just not sewn. So, but this is an ultra fast machine to thread. So it only takes a minute here. Come on. And now I'm going to sew it. So I put this under here, drop my needle, piece this off so I don't have to struggle. wrap it around the edge, and you can pin it into place, but this is kind of hard to pin. Couple stitches forward and a couple back. And I feel like that's going too slow and the stitch is too short. So as you can see, I'm sewing really close to the inside fold, and I'm going to just stop there. That's enough. So you can see the front and the back. So there's the top side. I sewed really close to the edge, and on the back side, it's a little bit further in because I was really kind of good at sewing in the right spot and folding in the right spot. But sometimes, you know, that's why it gives you a little bit of extra, because you don't really know what's going on the back side. So the problem with this is sometimes when we put it on, we don't wrap it in far enough. And so it'll like pull off the edge. Well, I did a good job with this, so I'm not able to pull it off, which is great. So that's how you do the double fold. So the single fold is going to require a little bit extra. The single fold, you're going to, again, it's going to still have that offset situation where if you manually fold it in half, one side's going to be deeper than the other. So that deeper side should be on the back. And I'm going to have to flip it over and sew in this groove. And I'm not going to go very far because this is about the foot, not about, you know, but just so you can see how it's done manually. So back side in that groove. And I go around it again and I manually fold it around that edge. And I can't seem to get far enough to get over that. Probably because I should have had the smaller groove on the back, but whatever. So I'm going to bring it over till I'm lined up with the previous stitch. And this one, what's better about this is you've got it double attached. So you know for sure it's hooked on. There's no way it's coming off because you were watching that first pass, right? So that's a little bit more secure. So now I'm going to show you how the bias binding foot works to improve the situation. So the bias binding foot here has got this little double, like this little fold situation in the foot. And then it's got a couple of adjustments. You can loosen this up and then slide this in and out so that the edge of your bias will line up with your needle, right? And we will see how that works. And then the other adjustment is for the depth of your binding. So if I turn this, I can go in, so for the very narrow stuff, like the yellow one I just did, or if I keep cranking and cranking and cranking and cranking and cranking, because it takes a minute. It's a very slow thing. And if you've got arthritis, you might have to hire this part out. But bias binding can get pretty darn wide. And as you can see, I can go all the way out to 20 centimeters. That's not 20 centimeters. That's 20 millimeters, right? Yeah, 20 millimeters, which is as wide as this. Oh, this is 25 millimeters. So apparently I can go out a little bit further than that. So I'm gonna find some wide bias binding in my multi box. Let's see, that's piping, that zigzag. Ooh, what's this? Nice and wide. And these bias binding feet, they don't work well with flat bias. They have to start with either a single fold or a double fold. You can't just stick this in and assume it's gonna fold it over. So that means you have to buy the prepackaged, or you have to pre-press your flat tape. So if I fold this in half here and I slide this in here, pull it back. you'll see that I've got the tape up here in that fold in the foot. And I'm going to tighten this up until it's the right width for this, which that looks pretty good. All right, I'm gonna pull some out the back so I can hold on to it. Pop this foot off, pop this foot on. And I'll take my material and I slide it in between those grooves and I drop my presser foot. Now at this point, if I put my needle down, I'm not going to be on my bias tape at all. It's too far over. So I can take the width selector here and move my needle over, or if you don't have that option, again, this is adjustable, but I feel like it's adjustable in the wrong direction. It's like you'd have to have your needle way over on the right side or something. All right, that looks good to me. Drop my foot. I'm right close to the edge. I'm going to kind of pre-fold it to kind of help it go through that foot. And then what this foot is going to do is, it's too far out. I still need it in further. There we go. It's got to squish it in a little bit better. It's going to help fold it and wrap it so that I can take this single fold and not have to do that second step. It also works fine with the double folded, just kind of guiding it over so you don't have to, you know, use any pins. And I'm actually feeling this here. I'm kind of stacking the top over the bottom and getting that pre-lined up for the foot. All right, so that's far enough. Whoa. Let's see what it did on the back side. Huh, it caught it.
Beautiful.
Yeah, in one pass. So that's how your bias binding foot works. Okay. That was a quick lesson. Any questions? Well, have a great federal holiday, June 19th, and go out and say hi to your neighbors and enjoy our wonderful weather here in Tucson.